All right, everyone, welcome back once again to this Beefcast presentation. Game 2 in this best of 3 series coming out of WCS, the European Championships. Is our Zerg player going to bring it back? Brandon, what do you think?
Could definitely be, or could definitely do that. It's a great map for Zerg, Daybreak. If you get late game, you pretty much just win. But we could definitely see BabyKnight do the same kind of timing attack, because that's what I do on this map still.
Yeah, timing attacks is definitely a possibility here. A little bit less so than maybe on other maps, but like you said, Zerg break. That's what a lot of the pros refer to it as, because you get to that late game as Zerg, and it is a very favorable position. So we'll see what kind of approach BabyKnight is going to come into this with. But before that, let's get these players introduced. In the top right-hand corner, playing for Team LiquidRet, representing the Little App Factory, the Red Zerg himself. Follow him at LiquidRet. He is LiquidRet.
Said liquid a lot,
dude. You gotta promote that liquid.
Exactly.
Everybody loves
Little
Team
App
Liquid.
Factory too.
Yep.
Sponsor.
Yep.
Anyway, his opponent in the bottom left of Zerg break. I was just shit break. We have BabyKnight for FXO, man. Blue Protoss. He's pretty good.
Yay, BabyKnight. I gotta get that GSL zoom in.
Oh yeah, hold down delete and zoom in or something.
Yeah, man, something like that. It's like
it's pretty sweet.
End and delete, or end and insert.
Oh wow, that's how you do it.
Yeah,
huh.
It's really good.
You just learned me something.
Oh, you know, that's pretty much what I do. Our Protoss player going for a Nexus first once again, with a map as large as Daybreak, and one that Zerg is pretty unlikely to cheese on, just because it is a slightly Zerg-favored map. I'd say that Nexus first is a pretty safe bet here. There's not likely going to be any Ling aggression. And we see out of Ret that 14 pool, 15 hatch, completely standard.
Yeah, and you know, BabyKnight, again, is like making a weird wall out. Generally, you don't want pylons in your wall, but he seems to like it. Well, one on this map is pretty much standard, but two is just a little kind of risky. I suppose since he's playing red, though, it really doesn't matter. I don't see him doing any kind of baneling bust. Is this a full wall? It might be.
I believe there's one hex there. Yeah, there's definitely one hex open there.
Oh, in between the forge and gateway. Okay, yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, playing against red, this player, BabyKnight knows Ret. Everybody knows Ret. Ret is the definition of a macro Zerg. He is the drone king. He is not the kind of player that is going to very often cheese you. He's not going to baneling bust you. He's not going to roach bust you. He's not going to be doing roach drops, most likely. He's just going to sit there and say, I'm going to out macro you. I'm going to play completely standard, and I'm going to out macro you. So that's what Ret's going to try to do here. We do see a pylon actually going to be going down to, needed to block the Lings, the 4 Lings that made their way across the map here. And so that pylon does get canceled, as does the second one that was dropped as well. But like you said, this is a very strange wall. This is not the typical type of wall that you see for most of these players.
No, I'm sitting here, I'm actually just staring at it, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. I mean, even with where the cannon is, that makes it more vulnerable. Again, I mean, Red's not going to go banelings, but against some players, you know, Mora would do it. It just seems really risky.
Definitely. So it's very strange there. But the FXO player, very strong in his own right. We did see +1 started and then canceled there.
Yeah. Did Red see the +1 going? Let me check.
I don't believe he did. No. And right behind this, as soon as that +1 was canceled, he, in fact, dropped 2 additional gases and started chrono boosting his warp gate. So what do you read from that?
Dude, I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to think. Like, you wouldn't need 4 gas for Stargate. So a robotics, but then you would want the upgrades. Oh, he's got 2 in each simulator again. Does he have that in the main? Yeah, so he's doing the same thing as last game.
Okay.
He's probably gonna go for robotics.
And so essentially he's on a 3 gas economy at this point, maybe a little bit better than 3 gas economy.
Yeah, it's a little bit more, but every probe mines more, or it gets more resources, so it's good. A
Stargate going down now.
Stargate.
Yeah. So with that Stargate, that's going to be where a lot of that gas is going, and that could definitely explain why +1 was canceled.
Yep, definitely don't want +1 attack if you're going Stargate units. This is good, especially since, you know, we've been talking about this gas saturation. Like, you know, it's enough gas for Stargate, and then you can do a little bit more than you usually would with it too. So it's pretty cool. I like this.
Okay, and we do see a robotics facility come down directly after that Stargate. So the robo facility probably going to be for some kind of immortal follow-up, or it could be just to get some observers out. But we do see the first void ray on the way right now, and adding gates. So going up to 4 gates right now, but +1 restarted as well. Could this be some kind of a 4-gate plus void ray plus
War
immortals
Prism attack?
or
No.
War Prism?
That's not good. This is just the robotics is going to be for observers, and then you get the warp gates just so you can produce sentries and stalkers.
Okay.
This should be a 3rd after a little bit of pressure.
All right. And
But
so
I
we
don't
do
immortals.
we do see the Phoenix is going to be produced here immediately after the Void Ray. Void Ray reveals itself just to go ahead and clean up one of these overlords. And so that's generally what the Stargate opening is very good at. You might be able to pick off a couple of units. You might be able to get a queen here or there. But generally it's to deny map vision and map control to the Zerg. You want to be able to clear up these overlords off of these high spots here. You want to be able to clean up the overlords that are going to be trying to get in position to scout your base. And you just want to be able to hold all that map control for yourself and be able to safely take your own 3rd, which is exactly what BabyKnight's doing.
Yep, pretty much just wants to be safe, like you said, with this 3rd. It is going to be seen by these links here, and it might be cancelled. It really depends. I mean, if there aren't any zealots out, and there's actually more links on the way, so this is definitely going to get cancelled. Now, Red's building 10 more. This is different.
Yeah, Red, well, at this point, he's at 61 drones, which is a decent economy on 3 base. And off of these 3 bases, knowing that his opponent's on Stargate, he's going to be getting a couple of these spore crawlers up. But there's no real threat here on the ground. He doesn't need to be producing roaches. He doesn't need to be producing spine crawlers at this point. He needs to protect himself from the air. And knowing that there's not a threat on the ground, he can just produce as many lings as he wants. None of the Protoss Stargate units are very effective at dealing with lings. The Void Ray is simply too slow at killing them and too slow to keep up. And the Phoenixes can't afford to waste their graviton beams on them. So lings really can rule the ground when the Protoss is trying to take a 3rd after opening Stargate. And so Rhett able to actually just dominate the map right now with these lings, prevent his opponent's 3rd from coming down, prevent his opponent's ground forces from leaving the map. And we even saw there force fields forced out as a sentry died.
Yeah, picking up sentries for free, essentially. I think he lost like 1 ling there. That's awesome, because sentries, you know, so many people have said this, but you know, they get better the longer you have them because they get that energy stocked up. A sentry that you just warped in is practically useless. A sentry that's been there and it has 200 energy is freaking gold, man. We do see the Phoenixes, see the Zerglings coming back, so he knows that there's no more pressure right now, but you know, those lings are pretty freaking fast. They can always run back to the base. The Phoenixes are going to head over to see the 4th here, yes, and they also see a shit ton of creep. They should pick up this queen.
Yeah, the queen picked up there. It's going to fall. So I would say that BabyKnight's in a pretty rough position at this point.
Yeah.
He has transitioned into Colossus Tech, starting that Thermal Lance right now, and he's starting +1 armor with +1 weapons already done at this point, adding 3 additional gates, which should bring him up to 7 if I'm not bad at math. And he still hasn't been able to take that 3rd. That's really what you want to be able to do with that Stargate opening, is secure that 3rd nice and early, get that walled off, get that cannoned up, and be able to out-macro your opponent. But at this point, 5 bases coming up right now for Red. Red already at 74 drones, going to be adding a ton more as those 4th and 5th bases come up, getting those gases up to 8, maybe even 10 gases, and being able to use all that mineral income to completely defend all of his bases with spores and spines, and then tech to that late game army that we said is so effective here on Daybreak, that Brewlord Infestor Corruptor composition. But BabyKnight, knowing that he's pretty far behind at this point, choosing to move out onto the map with just 1 Colossus here. And that Colossus does not even have Thermal Lance at this point, but look at the number of 1/1 Zerglings moving back. They're going to be going for a counterattack, and there's absolutely nothing to defend for the time being. A couple of Zealots get warped in here, but the Zerglings are actually able to get a surround on the Zealots, and they're going to start poking into this hole. Look at the huge number of Infestors going to come down. Infested Terran being thrown out all over this wall, and that is going to be a ton of DPS. This wall is going to get broken down, but the Colossus is here. The Zerglings going to be forced to retreat right now. They're actually going to engage with the Protoss army. The Zerglings going to try to do their best to take down one of these Colossus, but it's not going to happen for the time being. The Colossus is able to step up onto the high ground, and the Infested Terran have actually not done a huge amount of damage over here. They haven't killed any of the crucial... Oh, there goes the Nexus. That's a pretty crucial structure, if I tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the Infested Terrans were able to get that Nexus there. No Colossi were lost. No Colossi were harmed in the making of this replay. Not any yet. And Rhett going to try to move up some of his Spine Crawlers that were defending his third to try to defend his fourth right here. Because BabyKnight knows he has this timing. There's no Corruptors out on the field yet. They're very close to being out. And the Infestors are very low on energy. So the Zerglings are going to be relatively exposed trying to deal with these two Thermal Lance Colossi. And BabyKnight has got to do damage here if he wants to get back into this game. Right now, he's essentially a one-base Protoss. But huge Fungal is going to be going down, catching all of the Zealots, catching both of the Colossi, and the Corruptors are going to come in and start to pick away at these Colossus. Pick away. What the hell am I talking about? They're going to knock them straight down like Godzilla roaming through Tokyo. Those Colossi are going to fall. And the Roaches, the Spine Crawlers, the Infested Terrans, and the Fungals going to be able to push back the rest of this Protoss army. And our Protoss player at less than 100 supply right now, going to be able to try to continue warping stuff in, but Rhett is just streaming in units from all directions. He's going to be able to swarm his opponent here relatively soon.
Yeah, especially with Corruptors, and there's like no Stalkers to deal with them, so they're just going to kill them really well. The Corruptors pick off the Colossus instead of these Roaches, should murder the Stalkers, and that's GG. Really nothing to say. Rhett denied thirds for the whole game and just forced BabyKnight to all in, and held the all in really well. That's just really solid play.
That was an excellent engagement. It really came back to the engagement over here in front of the natural, forcing his opponent back into an unfavorable position by having those Zerglings and Infested Terrans there to flank and to really force the position of the Protoss army to get into a bad engagement. And so able to take that Nexus out, able to force the all-in twice right there. Rhett playing a magnificent game, very different from what you saw there in game one. And yeah, we're going to be going to game 3. Rhett showing that he certainly is not down and out in this matchup. Is he going to be able to take the series? We'll have to check it out. I've been your casting host, Beef. Joining me, Brandon, aka Muatoran. Where can they find you, buddy?
On the YouTubes at youtube.com/MuataranTV. It's MUATARAN. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Muataran, same spelling. And I promise I'll actually be uploading the VODs soon. I have them now.
All right, we're heading on to the next game. Thanks for watching. We hope to catch you all over.